Namaskar, I am your host Ashish Bhardwaj, a DPS Mathura Road alumnus, and I welcome you all to ALMA Talks, an initiative of DPS Alumni Network. Today I am joined by my co-host Tanya Khanna.
Hello everyone, I am Tanya Khanna, alumni of batch 2008. I am a strategy and a risk governance analyst presently working in Delhi.
I would now take you through a small presentation. Today we have two great guests, but before that, the week that has gone by was not one of the great ones. We had two of our eminent teachers leaving us for a better world. A word of condolence for them. Mrs. P. Krishnan, whom most of you would recall, taught us English. She passed away last week, and some of her students had posted an condolence message on the social media. So, silent prayers for her. And second, again, Miss Usha Mathur, most of you would recall, who had also taught us English at some or the other point in time. She also left us, and we again pray for her salvation and silent prayers go her way. And on that note, we'll just keep 2 seconds silence. Okay, I'll introduce my guest. Today I am joined by Survi Sharma. She's a 1992 batch alumnus. She comes from New Jersey, and she is tremendously talented, having done three different masters in biosciences, biophysics, and management. I'm also joined by Sanjeev Seth. He's a 1974 batch alumnus, and he did his BCom as well as hotel and hospitality administration, and he joins us from Toronto. I'll take you briefly through Survi's profile. She works with Sanofi as Director of Clinical Sciences and Operations in Diabetes and Cardiovascular Therapeutic Area. She also works as a career coach and has been mentoring and coaching for more than 2 decades. Previously, she held positions in clinical research and development in various therapeutic areas at leading pharmaceutical companies. She started her career in clinical research in hospital setting with direct patient interaction at Mount Sinai School of Medicine and University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey. Previous to her clinical research, she worked in preclinical research in the field of MRI and NMR at University of Michigan. After completing her master's degree in biosciences at University of Roorkee, she proceeded to University at Buffalo, New York for another master's in biophysics. Thereafter, the hunger continued, and then she did her executive MBA with specialization in strategy and marketing. Surbi lives in New Jersey and is mom to two teenager sons. Welcome, Surbi. Surbi sent us this photograph of her 25th reunion of her batch 92. She is right in the extreme right. Surbi, in addition to her various academic excellence, she also writes blog. You can check her blog on Surbi's cookbook.blogspot.com. She is tremendously talented, and you must check her blog. Her
Thank you.
specialty is healthier, faster, and easier recipes from around the world. Our second guest is Sanjeev Seth, a 1974 batch alumnus. He was born into an army family and studied in some of the most prestigious schools, Lawrence School, DPS Mathura Road, and Institute of Hotel Management, Catering and Nutrition, Pusa. He started his career at the iconic Taj Mahal Hotel in Mumbai. He then worked in Switzerland and London before joining the opening team at Hyatt Regency Hotel in New Delhi. Sanjeev migrated to Canada in 1987. He considers himself fortunate to have worked at reputed organizations in Canada, the Four Seasons Hotel, the University of Health Network, and Dana Hospitality. After managing several mergers and opening new hospitals, he decided to retire in 2017 so that he and his wife Karen could travel the world. He currently lives at his lake house in Cobocong near Toronto. He has traveled to 18 countries and 46 cities across the world. His aunt was a teacher at DPS Mathura Road, and his sister is currently teaching at DPS Mathura Road. So strong connections continue. He has many memories of his classmates and of Mr. Deen Dayal, the then principal of our school. Welcome, Sanjeev. I will show you a few snippets sent by Sanjeev. So this is the lake around his house. In summers, you can see ducks are floating. In fall, you have beautiful scenery, and in winter, it's all frozen. Sanjeev's home, which showcases rich colors during fall. Uh, Sanjeev also runs an exotic recipe blog in YouTube. So do check his channel on YouTube and you can catch some of the best recipes from there. I would also be trying few of them tomorrow. So here is our man representing Hyatt Regency Hotel aboard Queen Elizabeth II, uh, representing India in the Festival of London in 1980. So welcome Sanjeev and welcome Surbi.
Thank you for the kind introduction. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have both of you here. I'll now invite Rajiv Soni to give a brief message on the concept behind Phir Bhi Dil Hai Hindustani.
Thank you, folks. It's wonderful to have all of you here. So the concept of Phir Bhi Dil Hai Hindustani was kind of born when I came back from the US, which is almost 18 years ago. Yeah. And even when I was there, I was constantly reminded of the times when I was here in India, when I used to get a cup of tea. I didn't have to clean the vessels, and I just had to call the mali, the dhobi, and all my work was done. I had to do everything myself, so it was really good learning on the ground over there. Of course, when I came back to India, I found that I was able to do a lot of the stuff myself. So the concept of Phir Bhi Dil Hai Hindustani has actually been there in my mind for quite some time in some format or the other. I've written a book, and in that also I mentioned something, but I never thought that the pandemic will lead to a talk show, and that will be called Phir Bhi Dil Hai Hindustani. So welcome Surbhi ji, welcome Sanjeev ji, and back to Ashish and Tanya. They will take you through some interesting questions, and we look forward to your answers. And know that your dil is still Hindustani.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Rajiv. So, Surbi, my first question goes to you. Just briefly tell us about, something about your initial years in the US.
Yeah, Tanya, that is a very interesting question. And I had really interesting transition. So I had finished my first master's from IIT Roorkee, and I was working at Roorkee in IIT. When I decided that, for higher studies, probably I should go maybe to US or Europe. So I took my GRE and applied to a few places, and I got a full scholarship at University at Buffalo. So there I came. The first interesting incident, people talk a lot about cultural shock. My cultural shock was, I arrived in late August of 1999, and in December, when I first saw the snow, because I'd never seen snow in my life, only in Bollywood movies, I was so amazed by it. I was talking to my supervisor at that time, and I was facing him, and he had, I was also facing a big window, and I started seeing some snowflakes, and I couldn't believe my eyes. So in the middle of the conversation, I ran out and started dancing on the street, and my supervisor thought I had gone crazy or something had happened to me. But that was a very interesting incident, which he still sometimes relates. He says, I have never seen anyone so excited to see snow. Later on, we found out that cleaning the snow is difficult, and it's not that romantic. The first few months were a little bit of an adjustment with, the difference between the cultures, the teaching and the learning was very different from what I was accustomed to in India. So getting through that was quite interesting. Also, because I was alone and there was no family here, that was another challenge. But surely, within a year, I got accustomed to it, and then it was, you know, no turning back.
Well, to talk about family, can you tell us that, how did your family adjust to the initial years when you just moved there?
Yeah, so in those times, it used to be very expensive to call back home. There were no video calls, obviously, but even to call back on ISD call was for a student on fellowship was very difficult, very expensive. So I remember I used to call only for maybe 5 minutes every weekend. And my parents, because I was the first one to go out to US, they were always worried. A girl going out so far away, how is she going to, survive there all by herself? So I think it was harder for my parents to get used to it. Um, my father, his best friend, also lived in Buffalo. So he would contact him on a daily basis and ask him, how is she doing? And my uncle, he would keep on pacifying him. It's okay. I can't go and, check out her on her every day. She lives in the university and I'm not even close to where she lives. So it was difficult for them, but eventually I think they also came around when the first time I visited them and they saw that I was still alive and kicking.
That's very heartening to say, very, very emotionally, I think you've told us. Thank you for that. Okay, so my next question is to you, Sanjeev. Sanjeev, now I will ask you about your initial years in Canada.
My initial years was a mixed bag. It was tough. It was exciting. It was financially tight, and the winters, of course, felt bitterly cold. It was just, Toronto has got so much snow, and we go down to -20, and it's almost as if it's a complete change in lifestyle, and in a hurry. So it took me 5 years for me to call Toronto home. The first 5 years, you always feel, kya kar diya yaar, I should have gone back, I should not have come. But the first 5 years is an adjustment period, and I would say this to anybody else who's migrating to Canada or to any other country, I think it takes about 5 years for you to settle down. And you need to give yourself that much time to be able to start calling the new country a home. I was fortunate. We had a couple of friends here who would take us shopping because we didn't have a car then. And in 1987, there were not very many brown people in Toronto. Today, of course, there are more multicultural faces in Toronto than there are white faces. The actual people from Toronto have moved out, and now we are moving out. As I said, I'm in Coboconk, so it's where are you going to run next? I don't mean that in a derogatory manner. I just mean, like, everybody has to be able to assimilate.
That's wonderful. And yeah, it's not about running, it's about finding yourself and moving with life.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell us something about your family and how did they adjust to life over there?
So when I came, we had a son already, and then we had a second son. My wife and the kids, they adjusted fine. They enjoyed their daily activities. They did different activities on different days. I was going to work. Most of the day I was spending at work. And I don't know if you know, in the hotel industry, the hours are never counted. You just go, and as long as there are functions, you're at work. That's what pays you. So the family initially was tough because we didn't have a car. Then in the second year, we got a car. and things became easier. We started doing day trips, whether it was going to the apple farm or picking strawberries or picking peas, slowly life became more fun, enjoyable, because we were able to do these small little things, go to parks. So from the family's perspective, sure, they had difficulty initially because there were no relatives and stuff, but as we made friends, things became easier.
Thank you.
Surbi, my next question is to you. Tell me what two personality traits that you learned in India have stood you in a good position since then?
I think the most important thing that I learned in India is, to multicultural, multi-language assimilation, and to be able to talk to different people with different backgrounds, which has always been a strength, especially when I came to what used to be all white town, Buffalo. Um, there were hardly any multicultural people, but even the accent was so different. Small little things like um, you call brinjal and they call eggplant, you call lady's finger and they call okra. So these things were, some people take a little while to get used to it, but since I had been living in a lot of the different parts in India, because my dad had a transferable job, and although I was still in Delhi for my schooling, but since my dad moved so much, we I would go and visit him very often, and my mom always made sure that we learned the local culture wherever he was posted. So even within India, there are so many dialects, there are so many different languages. To get quickly accustomed to the change and to talk like local, I think that was my biggest strength that helped me survive the first few years.
I'm sure this is a trait that everyone who is looking forward to migrating abroad should really learn. I'll come to you, Sanjeev. What were the two personality traits that helped you?
Actually, it's similar to Surbi's: diversity and adversity.
Okay.
Those were the two traits. So in terms of diversity, India being such a large nation of so many different cultures and beliefs and thoughts, I was already used to dealing with people with different thought processes. So that helped me a lot, because in Canada, which I don't know if you know, is a country of immigrants. So we have people from all over the world over here, and they all have their own views and cultures. So dealing with people at work who had different issues based on their background, that helped me a lot in terms of how I was managing my staff. I was able to understand them better, and provide them with thought processes that might help them from my experiences in India. In terms of adversity, there's a lot of adversity in India. We've been through, as Surbi said, her father was in a transferable job, so was mine. We moved from city to city every time he got transferred, maybe in 3 years, 4 years, whatever. So in terms of adversity, the biggest thing that I faced here was when my staff had issues, whether they were financial, health issues, or family issues. Having lived in India for 30 years, I was able to gain from learning people's issues or challenges and transform that here and be able to help my staff and support them in different ways because I was already exposed to such adversity.
Okay. My next question, Sanjeev, you have worked across multiple countries. You have worked across India, you have worked across Canada, across multiple functions. So tell me one thing, what are the two main differences in working and living between Canada and India?
That's a very good question. I have to say that the one difference is in India we respect our elders, and no matter what, we try and please them as much as possible. I have not seen that as much here. You know, once the elders become how should I say, slightly incapable, they are sent off to homes, or the visits become fewer. On the other hand, in Canada, I found the basic courtesy is paramount here. Whether you say thank you, you say welcome, you know, those parts are essential. So right from childhood, kids learn to say thank you and welcome. A small thing like here, if somebody is following you, you hold the door open for them. You know, in India, somebody would just walk in and get in and not worry about who's coming behind, whether the door slams on them. So two differences, and also in lineups, I found people here give space, personal space to the other people, as they respect their own personal space. In India, the urgency to get something done, before you know, the person behind you is actually sticking on your back. So those are the two differences that I found most. So I was in India 2 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, and a young man was literally climbing up on, I was trying to get a ticket at a metro station. And I said, please excuse me, give me some space. You know, your turn is also going to come. I'm not going to steal your turn. So he realized I'm not from India, and he said, where are you from, sir? And then later on, I had difficulty using one of the machines, and he came and helped me. So it is possible to have that in India. It's just people don't say anything because everybody is doing it, and therefore, and you don't find that here. So that is a big difference I found, that in allowing people their personal space.
Okay. I'll go over to you, Surbi. What, as per you, are the two main differences in working and living between US and India?
So in addition to what Sanjeev ji just said, one thing that I think in US is really important is, the choice. Everyone wants to have their choice. Even a 3-year-old barely able to talk will say, this is my choice. I choose to do this. In India, you have no choice. Even a 45-year-old has no choice, because whatever the parents would say or whatever the boss would say, you're supposed to do that. I mean, now things might be changing, obviously, but at least when I left, there was no choice. Or even if you wanted to exercise your choice, you literally had to, you couldn't say it out aloud. You basically went behind someone's back to exercise your choices, right? Here, the biggest thing is that everyone gets to decide. Yeah, so the choice is a big thing. And I think it is for good, because if people are not able to speak their minds and they are not able to contribute, they're just following someone else's line, then there is no growth, I think. So one of the important things is that everyone is taught here, right from daycare, right from day one of the school, that you have a choice and you can exercise your choice. Sometimes as parents, as bosses, especially coming from India, you become a little bit frustrated. You want a certain thing to be done, and your kid will say, no, I have a choice and I don't want to go with your choice. So that that is a big thing. I'm still learning. I have 2 teenagers, right? And they exercise their choice all the time. The other thing is, as Sanjeev ji was saying, no one climbs over each other, like in a literal sense. They are competitive, don't get me wrong. There is a lot of competition, but they still like to give everyone a fair chance. They're not going to cut your roots or climb over each other to get there first. So you can see this even as Sanjeev ji was saying, in a line in a metro station. No one is trying to get there or board the train ahead of you by pushing you. They all wait for their turn and they'll get in. Even in the most crowded metros in subways in New York City, people will wait for you to get in rather than pushing you aside to get in first because the train will leave. So those are the two things that I find very different. And initially I was awestruck that people are competitive, but still they respect each other's choices. They respect each other rather than, pushing them aside to get first.
Okay. Very well summarized. So, Surbi, tell me one thing. Now we'll talk about a totally different question. Let's talk about food. So, usually at home, is it traditional dal roti sabji or largely cuisine of US?
So I'll go back to what I said earlier. My parents moved a lot within India, so they made us eat whatever was local, right? So even in India, I had a very diverse cuisine, and when I moved to US, I was exposed to even more. So I had some Italian food while in India, some Mexican food, but here when I moved to or Chinese food also. But when I moved to US, there was a whole array of different cuisines. And actually, I try to mix it around for my kids rather than just giving them one type of cuisine. So we have allocated days where we sit down together to decide our menu for the next week, and we will say, again, we will exercise our choices. I really want to have kaddu ki sabji this week. Main to khaungi kaddu. And my kids are not fond of kaddu, but they'll say, okay, uske sath rajma bana dena, please. And I'm like, okay, that I can live with. And then they'll say, okay, how about quesadilla this Tuesday? Can we do that? I'm like, okay, we can do that. But I won't have quesadilla with a lot of cheese, so you'll have to do me a vegetarian quesadilla. And they're like, fine, okay, we'll work with you. So I like to try out different cuisines and expose my kids also different cuisines. But फिर भी दिल है हिंदुस्तानी, dal roti sabji is the best.
Claps for you. Okay. So I'll go over to Sanjeev. So, chef, what's it at your end?
So, as I'm a chef, I've during my travels, I've learned a lot of cuisines. But as Surbi said, "Phir bhi dil hai Hindustani." So, food mainly my own food is mainly Indian. My kids have become Canadianized, so when they come, at least one son, and one of the differences also that he is married to a Canadian lady who's sort of Italian and French Canadian. So when they come, we share different kinds of foods. And my younger son is married, is not yet married, but has a girlfriend who's Chinese. So that brings in another facet of cuisine or deciding how to do this. When they come, when they both here, it becomes more Indian than anything else. So yeah, on my day-to-day stuff, I'm eating Indian, except I told you I don't eat any chapatis, rice, so no parathas. no potatoes. And
Makki di roti would be, there will be no makki di roti, there will be only sarson ka saag.
so makki ki roti chal sakta hai if there is no atta in it.
Okay.
But that is a difficult one because
Mm-hmm.
making makki roti without a mixture of a little bit of atta is going to be what we used to call in our times was toda. I don't know if anybody remembers todas, but yeah, my sister introduced me to millet, bajre ka atta.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Apparently, that is not as harmful or not. It does not cause diabetic issues. So I've been having that from time to time.
So that's an advice for everyone. You can consider millet ka atta. Sanjeev, my next question is to you. So how often do you travel to India?
So for the longest time, I was coming almost every year, if not every year, every second year, till 2017,
Okay.
which is when my father passed away. And then I was supposed to come back in 2018, and it got delayed. And then the pandemic has delayed it further now. So yeah, I used to come for about 2 weeks or so. Every time I came, because vacation in North America is like a it's more precious than anything else, even more precious than money. So at that time I used to come for 2, and now in 2017 or end of 2017 or 2018, when I did come, I spent almost 2 months in India, attended a couple of weddings, actually 3 weddings, 2 of my friends and one of my cousin's son. And we went around Kerala, we went to Lakshadweep, and we actually spent a lot of time in India traveling. Because before, when I used to come, I used to spend all my 2 weeks with my parents. And that was the most important. That's the reason I was coming. Now that they're both gone, I had some time to travel and see more of India.
Okay. And how about you, Surbhi?
So initially, when I was a student, financially it was difficult to travel every year. And then I got married and had kids, and it got even more difficult. So on an average, I used to go every 2 or 3 years. Now, since 2017 or maybe 2016, I go every year because now obviously my parents are retired and they're old, and they need me more now than my kids. The kids are getting bigger and more independent, so I can take some time off. And every year I try to go and be with my parents. I also realized that every year I used, when I started going since 2016, that if you go to Delhi, my parents are based in Noida, it was getting burdensome for my parents, because I was staying with them, and all the cousins would come and stay while I was there for 2 weeks. So now we have come up with a plan. Since 2016, I have started arranging trips with my parents. Every time I go to India, I already have a trip to Pondicherry, Goa, or whatever. And then I invite all my friends, my family to come and stay with us. So Airbnb has been a big help. Big shout out to Airbnb now. You just go there. It's also good for my parents because I can, travel with them. They're old, but they still can travel. They always like to travel. So we have one-on-one good time with each other. We have vacation together rather than me staying in their home and having a burden of the whole cleanup of the house and cooking all day long. So now it's a 2-in-1. I go for a vacation and I also have a good time with my parents.
And how long is your vacation?
Generally 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, so it's a power pack schedule.
Yeah.
Great. Both of you actually have answered the next question, that what do you do? So you have already answered that. So I'll ask you the next question. So tell me, Survi, how do you celebrate major Indian festivals there?
Okay. Festivals are very important to me. So I am more of a liberal Hindu. My husband is a little bit more conservative. So we have come to a point where we agree to disagree, and for the sake of our two kids, it is very important for us because we are the only ones who would give them that Indian perspective on festivals, on the Indian uh, background. So it is very important for us to celebrate festivals with our kids, and we do just about everything that you would think at home. We do puja, and we cook a lot of sweets and a lot of other eatable items. We also invite our friends, and then, especially for the big festivals, we like to go out together to the temple, and make sure that our kids understand the um, um, the history, the background behind each of these festivals. Um, Actually, an interesting anecdote. A couple of weeks ago, my younger son, 12-year-old, was playing on the online game with his American friend, a very white American friend, and instead of somehow he got killed or shot or whatever in the video game, and instead of swearing, he was saying, "Vats, ye tumko shobha nahi deta, Vats." I was like, "What happened? Where is this coming from?" And he's like, "You made us watch Mahabharat, the B.R. Chopra Mahabharat, and I really like Bhishma Pitama." And this is his dialogue, and I was so taken aback. I never thought that they were paying attention, because we try to, sit down with them and watch these epics with them to instill those kind of values. And I always thought that they were busy on their electronics and not paying attention, but obviously, uh, obviously they are.
Okay. So I'll go over to Sanjeev and ask the same question. How do you celebrate major Indian festivals in Canada?
So every every Indian festival is celebrated in Canada. It is on the day of the celebration, whether it is a gurdwara or a masjid or a mandir. There are long lineups on those days. I am a bit of a backbencher, and I'm not a very religious person, so I tend to celebrate the festivals, but not in the temples. I We do our celebrations at home at different friends' places, but we do celebrate. Maybe with a glass in hand, but we do celebrate our festivals by meeting our friends.
So it's community interaction and all. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we will have a rapid fire round, which will comprise of questions that are required to be answered intuitively. 10 questions would be asked to both the guests, and they have 2 minutes to respond. The answers will yield a winner and a runners up.
So both winner and runner-up get a prize. Yes, a prize. And the prize is a bouquet of flowers worth rupees 700 and 500 each, under your name, to your loved one here in India, in Hindustan. Let your loved ones be pleasantly surprised. And just email us the address so we can do the rest. So are we ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so Surbi, I'll start with you first. We will play this round and please answer these questions as quickly as possible. You can pass the question if you're not sure. Okay, let us start with the school time questions. Your maths teacher in class 12th.
Mr. Ahuja.
Good. Your physics teacher's first name in class 12th.
Arvind.
How many total marks you secured in your 10th board exam? And it's not percentage, it's total marks.
I don't remember. All I can say is I was not like an A grade student, maybe an A minus B plus.
You still aced. Okay, coming to professional. One rule you follow in your workplace.
Be compassionate to everyone. You
A
never know
goal
what's
that
going
you're
on.
proud you
I'm
achieved
sorry.
in your career.
I'm sorry, say that again.
A goal that you are proud you achieved in your career.
I'm proud to be where I am and being of help to patients with different diseases. So I'm proud to be a scientist.
Beautiful. Your biggest achievement as a career coach.
Changing someone's life, and not just one. Many of you have come back to me years after I have coached them to come and tell me, you changed my life.
Very fulfilling. Okay, coming to some lifestyle ones. How do you de-stress?
I cook, I write my food blog.
Fame or money?
Fame.
The first thing you do upon waking up.
Drink a glass of water.
One thing the pandemic has taught you.
That the world is a very small place.
It sure is. Thank you, Surbi. So now we have rapid fire round with you, Sanjeev. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll start with some school time questions. Your class section in 11th.
H.
What is the
It was the
first?
last section.
What is the first name of your class teacher in the last class that you have studied in DPS? That is the first name of your class teacher.
I don't remember her first name, but I remember her last name is Mrs. Baliga.
That does it. So how many total marks you secured in your last accounts exam in school?
I do not recall. I have no recollection of that.
Okay, coming to some professional questions. On a scale of 0 to 5, can you rate your work and personal life balance?
3.5.
An accomplishment at your workplace that you're proud of?
I set up a new system of service in the hospitals where the food was not cooked in the hospital, but it was prepared outside. However, it was served as a retherm project, and the food was rethermed before the patients got it. And it was one of the most innovative things at that time. Today, of course, that was 15 years ago, 16 years ago.
Beautiful. One thing no one knows about you.
I actually got selected in the cricket team in DPS, but it was only for, I never actually played. I was always the extra guy. So and this was the time when Kidwani and Shankar Kalyanpur used to play in the team, and they went on to play for their states. And I think Kidwani even went on to be in the India A team.
Wonderful. Okay, coming to some lifestyle questions. A health drink that you recommend to all.
Karela juice. Well, it is what I have practiced, and that's what has gotten rid of my diabetes.
I don't like Karela. The Karela juice I like. The craziest dish that you have ever made.
Gosht cola. It was made. It was actually a mutton curry that was made with Coca-Cola when I did the food festival in London in 1980.
Very interesting. The last thing you do before turning in for the night.
Have my medications.
Okay. So the last question is beaches or mountains?
Beaches.
Wonderful. So with that, we conclude the rapid fire round. Very well played, Surbi, and very well played, Sanjeev. Ashish, can you please tell us the score?
Yeah, Surbhi is 9 on 10. She is clear winner, followed by Sanjeev, who got 8 on 10.
Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Surbi.
Thank you.
Congratulations to both the winner and the runner-up. Over to you, Ashish.
Thank you. So my next question is for Sanjeev. Can you give us two instances where your dil is still Hindustani?
One is that I enjoy cooking Indian food,
Mm-hmm.
so that that keeps me grounded in terms of being Hindustani. And the other one is, I would say, my relatives have kept me engaged in even though I'm so far away, that I always long to go back and meet them, whether they are cousins, whether they're aunts. Not very many aunts left now, but yeah, but also my nephews and nieces.
Okay. I'll ask the same question to you, Surbhi. Two instances where your dil is still Hindustani.
Ghana or Ghana?
Very good.
I've heard every type of music. I learned Latin dancing also here a few years ago, and I'm still doing that. But still, my choice, if I'm given a choice, is still Indian music. Bollywood music is fine, but even classical music, Indian music, that trumps everything. And then khana, आज भी लौकी, kaddu, gobi, all of these things are my favorite. Although I have almost every type of cuisine at my fingertips, but my comfort food, my soul food, still is my own Indian food.
Okay, that's good to know.
Ashish, I want to add two more things to my Phir Bhi Hindustani Dil.
Yeah, please go on.
One is cheering Indian teams, especially the cricket team. I enjoy watching cricket and Indian team. And the second thing is, having been in the army family, every time I see a movie with the forces, or I hear something about the forces' achievements, I do get teary-eyed.
Okay, that's very good.
Sorry to interrupt, Surabhi.
No, no, not a problem.
I agree with you. Those two things are also on my list, but not the first two.
Okay. So tell me, Surbhi, any plans to shift back permanently to India?
Yeah, if you can find me a job that I like, definitely. So, kidding aside, yes, eventually, when my kids are all settled in, maybe in a few years, that is my plan, to come back to India and be with my parents in their older years. Um, Pray for me that it happens, and it happens before they get too old to enjoy my company. So.
And tell me one thing. In that case, what changes would you want to see in India? You know, that would make you more consider it more seriously.
So one of the things that I would like to see, and I already see that some changes are happening, is the pollution level. Every type of pollution, air pollution, water pollution. After living here for so long, um, I get really respiratory problems every time I go to Delhi. And that was another reason why I started, going out on vacation with my parents, because I would land in Delhi and I would have these respiratory problems. And even after coming back to US for months, I would be coughing. So that is one change that I would definitely like to see before I, permanently move back.
Okay. Sanjeev, tell me, any plans to shift back to India?
So the straight answer is no at this point. Not at this time, anyways. And as we grow in life, um, things get on. You have kids, then you have grandkids. So at this point, spending the maximum time with the grandkids is my goal. And if the grandkids are here, I'm likely not going to move back to India.
Okay, fair enough. My next question is,
Maybe I'm going to interrupt here.
Yeah.
I'm really counting on Elon Musk to, have this SpaceX rocket, or, what he's claiming, 30 minutes from New York to New Delhi, or 30 minutes from New York to Beijing. I'm really counting on that. If that happens, then that would be a dream come true. And I can be in both parts of the world. And
On the same day.
I'm an avid traveler, so I don't mind sitting in a rocket and being in New Delhi in 30 minutes.
That's good. That's a good imagination also. Okay, tell me one thing, Sanjeev. What would be your choice for the next life? Would it be like to be born in India and continue the same way as you did, migrate to Canada? Or would it be, be born in Canada as such?
This is a difficult one, Ashish, but I'll try and answer it in the way I am going to. Let me put it this way. I wish I have the same parents and the same siblings as I have had this life. So the parents and sisters that I've had cannot be any better. They've always supported me and loved me. And also the many beloved cousins that I have. So to tell you the truth, I'll be born wherever they will be born. So that our continuity in life continues.
I can see Rajiv clapping on that. So on that question, I'll go over to you, Surbi. How about you? The same route or be born there?
I don't care where I'm born, India, China, US, Brazil, I don't care. But as Sanjeevji said, I would want the same people to be around me throughout my life, whether it is my parents, my siblings, my friends, my colleagues. If I can have the same people, then deja vu. I don't care where I'm born.
Okay, that's good to know.
That is so true. Our love for each other is really the essence of our family.
Yeah. That's really true. I mean, the bonds are strong. That's good. So, Surbi, tell me, when did you last visit DPS? You shared your pictures. Any visits after that? The 25th reunion?
So in 2007, December 2017, I came, that was my last visit to DPS. It was the 25th graduation anniversary. So yeah, I visited DPS. I went into each of my classes, met a lot of my friends. And then later in the evening, we had a party. So drank to the health of my classmates and hope that we can meet more often.
Okay. And how about you, Sanjeev ji? When was your last visit?
Oh, it's been many years. The last time I attended, or not attended, just went to the school was when they had the big mela sometime this time of the year, but I don't recall. It must have been about 12, 15 years ago.
Okay.
I want to point out something. If you bring out my photo from my 25th graduation ceremony, you'll see my dil is still Hindustani. Phir bhi dil hai Hindustani.
Yeah.
I'm the only person who's wearing Indian. I was the only person wearing a sari, and one of the teachers pulled me aside and said, which class do you teach? I said, I don't teach here any longer. I've never taught here. She said, then why are you wearing a sari? I said, because I wanted to be an Indian, and I'm still Hindustani, so I would want to wear whatever I feel comfortable in. She said, no one else in your batch is wearing anything but Western. So where do you live? Do you live in India somewhere? I said, no, I live in US. And she actually clapped for me. She said, well, I commend you that you still have the guts to come to 400 people wearing a sari and not feeling apologetic about it.
Really commendable. So, we come to the last question now. So, Surbi, tell me, what would be your message to the DPS alumni community?
If you're coming across the pond to New York, greater New York area, please come and visit us. I have tried to start a small group within the greater New York area for all the dip sites. The group is growing, and we would love to have you here.
Okay, that's good to know. And how about you, Sanjeevji? What would be your message to the larger DPS alumni community?
So I'd like to say that I think we have one of the greatest communities, and we have our tentacles in every profession. I would say that what you folks are doing today with these calls, with the Zoom calls, and getting people together is extraordinary. It's absolutely extraordinary. It is bringing people of different ideas and professions together, and rejuvenating relationships that have gone by. So thanks to your platform, whatever you're doing is great. And in other words, keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully we all someday get to know more about each other.
Definitely, that's a wonderful message. And I must say, even Surbi, your efforts are really great, and we really hope that the community becomes more stronger and the bond continues. So, with this, we come to an end of this section. We will now have an open house.
Anju Khanna, I am Sanjeev's elder sister, cousin sister.
Okay.
He is my mama's son and very dear to me. We've grown up together in the sense I used to look after him, do his nappy changing when he was young. To that extent, I've known him. And
She used to
I
babysit me.
loved being with him. I was in Canada about 5 years ago. They both of them looked after me so well. I enjoyed myself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sanjeev's batchmate from college. So likewise, I'm also a chef. I've been in the hospitality for nearly 40 plus years now. So Sanjeev and I go back to our, we were, I think, also roommates in the college, had a lot of fun together. And
What do you mean think? We were.
We were, my memory is kind of, so anyway, so, we are, I think, about 25 to 40 people who used to roam together. So that is the kind of, group we had. And till today, I'm in Delhi. There are about 12, 15 of us. Before the pandemic broke out, we used to meet at least once a month. So, our, relationship is more than friends. We are families. And, Sanjeev, it's nice to see you again.
I live in Bombay, and I'm a housemaker. So I have 2 daughters who are married, and I'm a grandmother with lovely 3 grandchildren.
And
enjoying my
from DPS by any case?
No. I am from Amritsar basically.
Okay.
And I have studied my college here, and that is the time when Sanjeev was in Taj. So we are related too, but our association of Taj is very sweet. Good memories we have of that time.
Hi, I am Sanjeev's younger sister. And I think the only one who's associated with DPS at the moment. I'm teaching there in the junior wing. So yes, my children, my two sons have passed out from there, and actually this whole parivar has passed out from Anju Didi has not mentioned. Her husband was an ex-dipsite, and Bittu Bhaiya, I don't know, wasn't there, but Raji Bhaiya, I know many of them have passed out from there or studied there for some time. Yes, I have a love-hate relationship with DPS because I don't like the work anymore, but yes, I quite enjoy being with the children there.
Hello. Hello to everyone. I am his younger sister, one younger to him, older to Poonam Myra. Of course, I have no association with DPS at all, except that my brother was going there and they've been naughty and good when they were there. I remember those times also. And
Don't let there any secrets now.
No. I just left it there. And all people in the DPS must be knowing your batchmates, definitely. But all boys are naughty at that age, bhaiya. You were no exception.
So that was normal.
Yeah, that was normal.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Hi, good evening. 76 batch from DPS Mathura Road. I then did my chartered accountancy, moved into hoteliering. I'm from Welcome Group, ITC. I did 9 years there. Then ran a software company for 9 years, and then I moved to the US for a couple of years. I came back, and now I'm teaching academics and soft skills and writing. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Thank you very much, all everyone, for coming. It's very nice to have you all here.
Hi everyone. Hi, I am 75 batch, Mathura Road. I now live in Maryland, US. I am a professor, and for about 20 years I taught at Sri Venkateswara College in Delhi, and I was in the history department there. And then I moved in 2002 to the US. I lived here as a child, but then gone back, and I moved here with my son. So I have a son and a daughter-in-law, and we all live together in Maryland, along with our golden doodle. And I'm still a professor. I teach at the University of the District of Columbia in Washington, DC. I'm also a poet, short story writer, and a children's writer. I'm glad to be here.
I am, well, Sunny Mama is my mama, so I'm his niece. And we have missed him so much while he's been there. But he came specially for my wedding. I still remember. Did my chuda, came with the entire family, Karan, Mami, and the kids. And it's really, we're all so close. It just feels like he's somebody who is always there for me. Yeah.
Thank you. That's so nice words.
Hi, good evening. I'm Sanjeev's elder brother, and we are buddies when we were in school. I'm a 69 batch, I pass out from the DPS, Mathura Road.
Oh, wow.
And I'm into business. I'm into exports and stay in Bombay.
Okay.
Got a son and a daughter, both married. And Sunny and me have been very, very close in Delhi. And that's about all. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Sunny Bhaiya is my husband's Masi is son. The relation is like we are very close. So I was very close to his mother, and I just met Sunny Bhaiya 2 years back. And but whenever we meet, it doesn't feel that the relation is so far. Like I think the relation is. Doesn't depend on the masses or what. It all depends on how much you connect with each other. So I live in Bangalore.
Hello.
He's a kid.
Hello, Aryan.
Hi. Be brave, my man. Yeah, you look absolutely handsome.
Yeah, thank you.
And I have been classmates from college. I'm also a chef. My name is Khosla, and I'm based out of Hyderabad in India.
Okay.
Wow.
We go back to college days, and again at the Taj, we were together. And it's been a very long association, like Arun said. We are more of a family than anything else. Love you, bro. Miss you a lot.
Oh, thank you so much, Pradeep. Pradeep used to run one of the most famous restaurants in Hyderabad.
Yeah, that's nice of you to have said that. Yeah, I do run a restaurant in Hyderabad by the name of Daikai Hyderabad.
Ah, that's wonderful.
Okay.
Great. And it's wonderful hearing both of you and your, like, Phir bhi dil hai Hindustani. It's actually dil hai Hindustani. We can go out of India, but India can never go out of us, wherever we are.
So right. So right, Pradeep.
Thank you. Thanks for calling me over here.
Surbi, you have children, young children. Since I'm a teacher at junior school, so I'm asking you something that is quite relevant there. That when you take children that age abroad, yes, do they not get confused? I'm further asking because my son has also gone and landed in Toronto, so it's a reason of concern. Yes, that what happens to these children? I know my mother was struggling with Bhaiya's kids. Ye padha do, Amar Chitra Katha padha do, like you've been mentioning. Yeah, but that does it not? Is there no pain somewhere?
So I guess you're trying to understand what do ABCDs do, as we refer them. American born, confused ACs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Both my kids were born and brought up here. They have been to India many times with us. And I have homeschooled them in Hindi. So they speak fluent Hindi. If they ever come to India and you see them, you'll not be able to figure out if they have an accent, American accent, when they speak Hindi. So that was one of the things. But I have friends, I have a couple of cousins who came to US after they had kids. And to answer your question, how does it change for the kids? I think kids are more resilient than adults. When they brought their kids with them, it took them 5 years or whatever to adjust, but the kids within 5 months they were adjusted, even had the same accent wherever they were, they were going to school. For example, one of my cousins, he came to Texas, and within a couple of months when I came to visit them, both of the kids, one was I think 4 years old, just starting school, and the other was 8 years old, both of them had Texan accent, and they knew everything about the schools, and they knew everything about Texas, and they knew everything about America. So kids are really like sponges. They pick up really fast. On many occasions, I have been asked by my parents, my friends, family, how did you manage to, teach them Hindi? When most of the kids, after they come to US or after they come to North America or even outside India, they have a lot of resistance. And my one rule in home is I'm going to only respond to you if you speak in Hindi. So yes, my kids, when they started going to school, they gave me a lot of pushback. They would come and start speaking in English, everything. Give me water, mom, I'm hungry. And I'm like, मुझे तो समझ में ही नहीं आता, हिंदी में बात करोगे तब बात करेंगे. In fact, my elder son, he didn't know that I could speak English. I ever had any training in English till he was like 6 or 7 years old. The first time I was taking a call from home, and I was talking to one of my colleagues, and he started crying, and he was crying during the whole time I was taking the call. And after that, when I asked him after the call ended, what happened? Why were you crying all the time? He said, you've been lying to me all this while. You know English. And every time I've asked you something in English, you have told me, समझ में नहीं आ रहा, क्या बोल रहे हो?
That's very
Very nice.
or since I'm not an alumni, so I thought it's only for them. Yeah. It's very nice. I don't know why we don't have our Loreto ka alumni or things like that, but yes.
Because DPS is always the best.
I agree. I spent as far more years here than there. So yes, just last year I was there for the parent reps and all hold that dinner they have this yearly dinner and we all meet, and that is where yes, a lot of I noticed that I had already taught so many of the children, maybe your people's like Bhaya's grandchildren, and they had already been through us, and the oldies were also there. It was very sweet. The family is very large and very warm. It's a beautiful thing that you people keep yourself together. Yeah.
I heard Poonamji. So Poonamji, if you're from Loreto, we'd be happy if you subcontract this activity to us. A revenue stream for me is very important right now.
Rajiv, before we disperse for the night, would you quickly take us through other initiatives?
Yes, in fact, thanks to the superb effort of all the people concerned, so the first initiative was the collaborative singing, which has already yielded 2 songs. Third song, I finished the lyrics. It's about an ode to the soldiers on the borders. I'm an army officer's son too, so that just came very naturally to me. The second initiative was ALMA Talks, of which this is a prime show, Phir Bhi Dil Hai Hindustani. Third initiative is Careers Connect, where I think when we spoke last, Surbhiji, I think that the day before yesterday, so we were to have the first event yesterday, which is on Saturday. I think it went off pretty well, and after I spoke to you, there are things which are going on in my mind, so I'll talk to you offline on that. We'll try and get you to share your experiences and maybe start something slightly different, not at a tangent, but alongside. Fourth initiative, which I'm going to put into action tomorrow morning. In fact, I was waiting for this thing to happen. It's the Entrepreneurial Club. And the Entrepreneurial Club is going to be chaired by Niti Virmani, who is a DPS alumnus. And she is staying in Seoul, in South Korea. And the idea will be to have a lot of people in the younger age coming up with ideas of new products, new processes, new ways of doing things, and the older people who may want to act as mentors, as say funders, as incubators. So that will be set into motion on 12th of October. Four initiatives. That's it for the time being.
That's excellent.
May I just add one quick thank you before we go? I think in these unprecedented times, it is very important for all of us to stay connected. The incidences of mental illnesses have increased and spiked really tremendously. And that is because all of us are locked down in our own houses. So thank you, Rajiv ji. Thank you, Ashish, and Tanya, for having these kind of initiatives. It is very important that all of us, have some connections with the outer world rather than just staying within our 4 walls. DPS alumni are the best, always. East or West, DPS is the best. So even when this pandemic is gone, I think it is important to stay in touch. After all, we have a strong alumni. We can learn from each other, and we can, leverage each other's strengths. So wherever you find me, if you need me, please feel free to contact me. I'll be happy to assist.
Done, ma'am.
That's wonderful.
Well, that goes from me too. Thank you, Rajiv, and thank you, Ashish and Tanya. That's great job done. And what you're doing is bringing people together, and that's fantastic.
I also request you all to kindly check this small website www.dps-alumni.com. You can fill in your details and all future programs would be emailed across to you. So on that note, I would first take the opportunity to thank you, Sanjeev and Surbhi, for taking time out and talking to us. It's been wonderful to know about your incredible journey, and I'm sure it will inspire many dipsites. I take this opportunity also to thank all our participating viewers. You really made our day good today. We will now call it a day. Namaskar and good night.